Hello once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy and disgusting leftist stalkers out there. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Angela Box. You're watching Angela's Soapbox, where I say what you are thinking. Before we begin, if you are not subscribed, please go ahead and consider hitting the subscribe button, joining the fam of fellow conservative butt kickers and people who love to piss off the left, because my content and my very presence in my being pisses off a lot of leftists. So let's keep fighting them every way we can, shall we? Also, every week I write an article on angelasoapbox.com. In fact, all the content, all YouTube, all my Raging Elephants radio shows, they will all be on angelasoapbox.com. That link will be down below. And if you'd like to read this week's article, it is entitled, Peaceful Protesters Got Some Splainin' to Do. So definitely take a read of that. I had to remember what it was called, even though I just wrote it like a few hours ago. Things are moving so fast. Also, every week on my channel, I can't even think about what I'm going to say. I give away a sea turtle killing plastic straw to a filthy leftist. And like last week and many weeks before that, it is going to Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And I wish I could raise a toast to them, because it would be funny that they made so many numerous appearances getting the plastic straw if they weren't so absolutely malignant and cancerous and horrible. But we have traditions for a reason, so the straw goes to them once again this week. And that's where I'd like to begin. You know how leftists like to say her name, say his name. Well, I've got a name for them to say. I've got two names that the filthy leftists in Antifa and Black Lives Matter and those in the media and Hollywood and all of our corrupt bureaucracies and sports and every other woke corporation on the planet that has fallen in line and fallen into bed with these Marxist terrorists of Black Lives Matter and to a lesser extent Antifa. I've got two names for you. Let's see. Make sure I'm getting it right. Tamaris Bohannon, a 21-year-old black police officer shot in the head in St. Louis. And Jay Bishop, a young man who was in Portland at the wrong place at the wrong time, was trying to go and do counter-protesting against the Portland rioters. And someone saw that he was a Trump supporter and said, let's get him. And they shot him in the head and they executed him. And a filthy Black Lives Matter supporter killed Tamaris Bohannon. But that black life doesn't matter, does it? And let me tell you something. We are coming up on the election in just a few short weeks, and the Democrats are going to do everything they can to try and steal it. We have now story after story of how mail-in balloting is filled with fraud, but the Democrats don't care. They're like, we have to win this. However we can do it, we've got to do it. And so people are saying, how can we stop? How can we prevent this fraud from happening? And honestly, the only way I can think of is same thing Rush Limbaugh has been advocating, is that we have to flood the zone on election day. Now, if you want to early vote, knock yourself out. But we've got to flood the zone, in-person voting on election day, and just overwhelm the Democrats. That's what we have to do. Last week, the RNC convention was a marked contrast to the DNC convention. And, you know, even the most filthy leftists among us all, like Michael Moore and Bill Maher, they're like, oh, we're scared. Because the Republicans offered a vision of positivity, hope, opportunity for everyone. And as I like to say, freedom has no color, freedom has no gender or ethnicity or sexual orientation. Freedom is for everyone. And that I was so gratified to see that on display all last week at the RNC. And someone said, this Republican Party that Trump has remade in his image is the Republican Party I've always wanted to vote for. And I could not agree more. It is such a party of everyday men and women, rich, poor, black, white, gay, straight. It doesn't matter. If you are for the things we are for, like freedom and liberty and the rule of law and doing things correctly in the right way and belief in family and belief in God and Judeo-Christian values and the belief that America is not a racist country. It's a great country. We've done an exceptional job in our history, in our very short history, and we're just gonna, as Trump says, the best is yet to come. So compare that to what the Democrats gave us the week before, which was everyone is racist, white people suck, and Black Lives Matter, and yours doesn't. What message do you think is a more winning message? Gosh, I wonder. But who doesn't seem to wonder that is the professional sports leagues. Now, MLB and NBA are already sinking like stones. They've decided to go fully woke, do the Black Lives Matter crap, take a knee, lock arms, whatever. LeBron James, who is, talk about a privileged dick. LeBron James. I had some respect for him years ago. I know he did a lot of charity in his home state of Ohio, Cleveland, I believe, where he's from, and I respected him for that. But LeBron and the rest of these ignorant NBA players, they're embarrassing, and their tantrums are going to make them broke. So get woke, go broke. And the latest person to fall into this is, of course, Pete Carroll, who was at USC. When I lived in California, Pete Carroll was an institution, and he made USC a great football team. But he always had like that surfer boy voice. He's like, yeah, ride the waves, dude. Well, he came out the other day and he basically co-signed everything that Black Lives Matter said, and he now's the coach of the Seahawks, and is like, yeah, white people they just don't understand. This country, they had a lot of nice words and fancy things to say, but in reality, it's not anything like the history tells us. In reality, everyone is still on the slave ships. Everyone is still, picking cotton, unless you're white, of course. So Pete Carroll, as I said this morning, still sounds like he's Jeff Spicoli trying to catch some tasty waves. And, okay. The NFL has glommed onto the Black Lives Matter. They've said that you can put 4 things on your helmet or your shirt, including Black Lives Matter, end hate, end racism, and a name of a black victim. But again, Tamaris Bohannon, I'm sure, will not be approved to be put on a woke NFL jersey. But remember a few years back when a Black Lives Matter terrorist, and I had YouTube remove this video actually, when I pointed this out, that a Black Lives Matter supporter had gunned down 7 police officers in Dallas. And pure fact, but YouTube didn't care. They took it down anyway. So the NFL players back then wanted to put the police officer's name on their helmets or their jersey, but they weren't allowed to. But you can put black criminals on your jersey and hat. That's just fine. Speaking of black criminals, more has come out about St. Jacob Blake of Kenosha. And St. Jacob Blake evidently was arrested for raping a 14-year-old girl at knife point. And her niece has come out on Instagram and ripped old Jacob Blake a new one, and all these leftist woke, shameless athletes trying to lionize and sanctify this criminal with an arrest record a mile long. And evidently Jacob Blake's mother knows far too well what a piece of garbage her son is, because she has not been out denigrating President Trump. Quite the opposite, actually. So let's see how all this plays out. And I think the Democrats are going to be in for a very rude awakening come 67 days or so. And now we're starting to see that the Joe Biden of the primary is now biting Joe Biden in the general in his ass, because, in his butt. Sorry. Because Joe Biden is now, when they have to drag him out of the basement, poor people are just like, I just want to sit here and eat my licorice. Leave me alone. Where's my insure? But seriously, like the fact that they keep dragging this guy out, and the press won't ask him any questions, and he has no crowds following him whatsoever, unlike President Trump. But he actually came out yesterday and gave a speech that was chock full of lies. I was just like this. Like, everything out of his mouth was a lie. He's like, listen to me, I am not for fracking. And then Team Trump literally pulls like 7 videos where it's like, I'm going to ban fracking. I'm going to ban fossil fuel. I'm all for the Green New Deal. All these lies that Joe Biden's saying, turning around, and now the Democrats, because they have to now acknowledge the peaceful protests are actually riots. See, this is how stupid they know. Well, I should say, we're not as stupid as they think their viewers and readers are. Their readers and viewers are very stupid, and they will buy whatever line they spoon feed them. After all, they believed for 4 years that Donald Trump was a Russian agent, and they still do, because their media tells them so. But now they say that it's Donald Trump's fault that there's riots and protesters. This is how you know the worm has turned. Because you know for a fact that if this were helping Democrats saying, oh, the peaceful protest once again for night 90, oh, only one guy got murdered tonight in Portland. Oh, that's a win for us. You know for a fact if it was helping Democrats, they'd still be all behind it. But the fact of the matter is that most people are not pure scum and pure Machiavellis like most Democrats are. See, most Americans want to live in peace and quiet, and they want to just, go about their lives, and they don't want to defund the police because they actually understand that the police are 99% good and 99% helpful. And who are you going to call when you get raped or attempted murder or carjacking? I mean, who are you going to call? The social workers? The Ghostbusters? Seriously. So anyway, the Democrats this week are now trying to turn it around, blame it on Trump. And you just have to laugh. You have to laugh because it's like, it's too late. It's too late. Look, Carroll King doing a virtual fundraiser for you, Joe Biden, isn't gonna save you. It's too late, baby, now. It's too late. Thank you. Huzzah, huzzah for my sad little singing. But it's too late, baby. Yeah, it's too late. Though you really did try and make it. But something inside has died. And I'm trying, but I just can't fake it. See, Democrats, America has awoken to your BS. America has awoken to your lies. And I'll tell you, this week's article, if you want a real compare and contrast lesson, because we had a really good one over the last 2 weeks with the Democrat and Republican convention. But, there's one party that wants chaos and mayhem and half the third world pouring over into the country and abortion up to and including birth, which as it formerly used to be known as infanticide, tax increases through the roof, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then one party wants law and order, freedom, a belief in that all lives matter, including babies in the womb, and a secure border and all those good things. So, when I say that liberty has no color and liberty has no gender, the Republican Party has seemed to run with that message. And I'm really, really happy to see that because the Democrats, all they have to offer is hate and vitriol. I mean, take a trip down Twitter lane and you'll see. They're full of hate. They're full of animosity for their fellow Americans. The people who murdered Jay Bishop literally said, we took out the trash. He was a Nazi. We take care of our trash. Is that the America you want? Because Joe Biden is saying if you don't vote for him, we're going to get more of that. But I have a feeling that President Trump is going to be putting a stop to this real quick. And certainly after the election, I don't see these filthy scum having much of a shelf life anymore. So enjoy it while you can, Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And I guess we'll see you again in 3 years when you have to cause chaos for the midterms. But that's all for today. As usual, I could go on forever, but I shan't. I have other things to do. But I do hope you're having a good week so far. And remember, it is, as I implore you every week, it is your duty, it is your sacred honor to go and torment a leftist, to get in their faces because they get into ours. And we will not be silenced anymore, and we will not be muzzled anymore. Oh, that reminds me, one more story. I'm glad I remember this. Last week I was at a Walmart. Now, guys, this is a true thing. So I think I may have mentioned it in my video last week. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I can't remember. But Walmart and other big box stores are not requiring you to wear a filthy diaper over your face anymore. So I decided to go in without one. And a security guard tracked me down later on in the store and tried to force me into one. And I had my little screenshot of the Walmart policy at the ready. And I said, oh, you see, Walmart corporate says I don't have to wear one. He goes, that isn't true. And I showed it to him and he goes, oh, I guess you don't care about hurting people. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's what it is. I'm sure that's what it is. Dumb sheep. Dumb. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, remember, we are all in this together. Where we go one, we go all. And let me see if I can think of another cliche that is actually meaningful. Oh, Patriots unite. See you next week.